Number 1. Eden Lake is a movie that was released in 2008 and directed by James Watkins, and although it doesn't seem like a film that would be overly disturbing because of its slow start, it has a turning point that changes the entire dynamic of the story, and from there, it quickly goes down a dark and gory path. The movie centers around a couple, Jenny and Steve, who are vacationing in the countryside of England, but unfortunately for them, they come across a young group of teenagers that irritates them. Steve confronts them about this, but that only makes matters worse, and the couple now have a target on their back. This leads to their car being stolen, which angers Steve further, and when they find the group that night, all hell breaks loose, which essentially leads to a wild hunt in the woods. From there, it gets darker and darker, and even when you think there might be some glimmer of hope, the movie does a 180, leaving viewers with a feeling of despair and dread. It is not a movie for the faint of heart, but it is paced quite well, making it a disturbing but interesting watch.
It's beautiful. Why don't we just find another spot?
I'm not going to be bullied away by a bunch of 12-year-olds.
Steve, where's the beach bag?
It's got the car keys in it. I just want my car back. Car keys, phone, wallet. You've had your fun.
First loan he sees 999. Now we've got to finish this.
Run! Listen to me. Go get him. Go!
Number 2. The Poughkeepsie Tapes is a movie that was released in 2007, but didn't really see the light of day for a long time. It was eventually released on DVD in 2017, but before that, it was scrapped from having a theatrical release, and it was only briefly available through video on demand, but apart from that, it was very difficult to watch this movie. And that may have been because it's widely considered to be one of the most disturbing found footage films ever made. The plot centers around 800 videotapes that were found in Poughkeepsie, New York, after a raid was conducted by the police. These tapes belong to Edward Carver, a serial killer who terrorizes a number of his victims on camera in disturbing ways. The film manages to create a terrifying atmosphere by using dark, grainy, and disturbing visuals that give viewers a feeling of dread and despair. On top of this, the killer in the movie is very intelligent and is able to stay one step ahead of the police throughout the entire film, despite the fact that he is consistently taunting them, sending them evidence that leads them in the right direction but doesn't lead to his arrest. It makes for an intense watch, and a lot of it is very uncomfortable to sit through. It's not surprising that this movie became a sort of cult classic in the horror genre because of its alluring nature, and because it's a lot darker than your typical found footage film. Number 3. Hard Candy is a movie that was directed by David Slade and released in 2005. It centers around Haley, a 14-year-old girl who is chatting with the man online who she ultimately meets in real life. This man is 32-year-old photographer Jeff Culver, who very clearly shouldn't be talking to this girl. The two take a drive together to Jeff's house, and it seems as if it's going down a dark path, and, well, it does go down a dark path, but not for the reason that viewers may think. Haley drugs Jeff and begins to interrogate him about his past crimes, and as the movie goes on, she delves deeper into this, finding evidence, getting confessions from Jeff himself, and generally uncovering a lot of terrible things that this man has done. It is a harrowing watch, and it's backed up by some top-notch performances that make this an intense movie. It's also hard to believe that it's 15 years old, because of how good the cinematography is, but also because it's even more hard-hitting now because of how real the subject matter is. This movie could easily be released today, and it would still show us the reality behind a disturbing but very prevalent aspect of today's society. Number 4. The Strange Thing About the Johnsons was a short film directed by Ari Aster in 2011. It was his thesis project for college, and it probably wasn't expected to turn too many heads, but my god, it really did. After it premiered at the Slam Dance Festival in Utah, the movie was leaked online and garnered around 6 million views on YouTube for its intriguing and disturbing nature. The plot of the movie centers around the Johnson family, who are a seemingly normal family that are quite successful in their respective fields. The father is an accomplished poet, their son is a happily married young man, and it seems as if they are a well put together family. But this is all a lie, as the son and father actually have an abusive and toxic relationship, and that's putting it very, very lightly. Now, I would go into more detail, but that would ruin the plot of the movie, and it's also a very intense and uncomfortable watch. But the full thing is still on YouTube, so if you are so inclined, you can watch it yourself, but just know you have been warned. Also, it's important to note that Ari Aster did go on to have a successful career in cinema, specifically with the movies Hereditary and Midsommar, and if you have seen either of those movies, then you should have an idea of what you're signing up for. Number 5. This movie centers more around the disturbing visuals and dark message than the actual plot itself, and it's pretty difficult to see anything about this movie online without giving away the actual story, so I will just explain the full synopsis here. Megan is Missing is a found footage movie that was made in 2011, directed by Michael Goy. It centers around Megan, who is a popular outgoing girl, and Amy, who is more quiet and reserved. The pair are best friends regardless, and in the movie, they attend a party, talk on video chat, and even plan to leave their homes together. Megan ends up talking to what she thinks is a boy named Josh, but after attempting to meet up with him, she goes missing and Amy sets out to try and find her. She talks to Josh on a number of occasions as she is suspicious of him, and after some disturbing pictures are released online, she gives his name to the police, which angers him. A few days later, Amy goes missing as well, and a video camera is found that shows us some very disturbing footage of Amy being held captive in a dungeon by Josh. After days of torment and abuse, Josh tells Amy that she is going home, but that she will need to get into a barrel so that she doesn't find out where she lives. Unfortunately, this barrel contains Megan's body, and the last scene we see is a shot of Josh digging a hole and burying the pair inside it. Okay, so that was kind of a lot, but that's because the movie is kind of all over the place, and you can tell it was made with a budget of around $30,000, but it's an effective film that pretty much does its job. It's definitely not the best movie on this list, but it's one that will probably stick with you, and not for the right reasons. It recently went viral on TikTok for some reason, and actually made it one of the highest trending horror films of 2020, which is kind of bizarre when you think about it, but I guess morbid interest really got the best of us here.
Megan Stewart, a beautiful, popular 14-year-old girl, vanished without a trace after going out with friends 2 days ago.
The footage clearly shows that she encounters a man who appears to lead her away.
I loved her so much, and now she's gone because of you!
Well, now that you've come forward, do you fear for your own life?
Do you trust me?
Yes.
What did you do to Megan?
And that's all for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I actually have a new video out on my main channel now if you want to go and watch that. I'll leave it linked in the description, and I'll put a little box here that you can click and go check it out. It took a while to make, so watching it would be greatly appreciated, but if not, I hope you have a great day, and I will see you in the next video.